We are fighting our way through the ice on the Bering Sea. Let's see, the mainland of Alaska is about 160 miles that way. The coast of Siberia is about 40 miles back that way. Every spring and fall for more than 2,000 years, the Eskimos have come out here to hunt the walrus and the seal. It's not an exaggeration to say that if there had been no walrus and no seal, there would be no Eskimo, at least not around here. The Eskimo use these animals for food and heat and light and clothing and shelter, and as in the case of this hide boat, for transportation too. They had to kill the walrus and the seal. They still have to. But this is a broadcast about life, not about death. And appearances to the contrary, this sea, these waters and these ice floes are teeming with life, as you will see. The life that does exist in these Arctic waters and in the corresponding seas at the opposite end of the Earth, the Antarctic, is of more than passing interest to man. The Eskimo's survival has been dependent on his knowledge of the forms of life he hunted, like these walrus. At least those aspects of that life that enabled him to succeed as a hunter. But now more is at stake. Man must know more about all life everywhere if he is to survive anywhere. And so scientists with new tools have come to these waters to learn firsthand how life adapts, how life is equipped to tolerate incredible extremes. Like the men who walk on the moon, the men who enter these seas put their own lives in jeopardy, so that the lives of all men may perhaps be better one day than they are now.
This is a CBS News adventure, The Frozen World of Seals and Walrus, with the CBS News correspondent Charles Carleton. Here now is Adventure, with CBS News correspondent Charles Carleton.
Dr. Carleton Ray, Ph.D. in zoology, associate professor at the Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, is a specialist in marine mammals. He pursues some of the world's least known animals to their haunts in some of the world's least hospitable environments. He already has more diving time under polar ice than any man in history. Dr. Ray and his team are headed northwest to Gimbel on St. Lawrence Island in the Bering Sea, 118 miles from the nearest Alaskan mainland. In the seas around St. Lawrence, this team of scientists and divers will explore the world of seals as it has been studied by few others in history. The fact that there is danger in what these men do is a simply unavoidable adjunct to what they seek, insight into how well nature can equip vertebrate animals to regulate their body temperatures in frozen seas, raise their young on the ice, and navigate beneath the ice, where failure to find a breathing hole would be fatal. As he heads for the Bering Sea, Carleton Ray remembers another expedition. In 1966, similar studies were conducted by Dr. Ray's team at the opposite end of the world, near the United States Antarctic Scientific Installation at McMurdo Sound on the Ross Sea, due south of New Zealand. Here, in one of the harshest environments known, on 6-foot-thick shore ice, the Weddell seal must rear her young. By shielding her pup from the gale-force winds characteristic of the Antarctic, and by feeding it milk of over 50% butterfat, the seal can see her pup through the first critical days until it's equipped to protect itself against these weather extremes. But not every life that comes into being is destined to survive. Before it could develop its insulating blubber layer, this pup perished. Its mother cried over it for a whole week, left for half a day, and returned for a second death watch of 7 days. This strange sound is the mournful cry of the mother. At the moment of birth, the temperature of a Weddell seal pup's environment might plunge by more than 100 degrees. Despite the violence of this change, the chances are good that the baby will survive. The pup is born wet. The moisture on its fur will quickly freeze. As it moves, the ice will fall away in a crystalline shower, leaving the infant's coat fluffy and insulating. If it then remains dry and on the lee side of its mother, it will have a chance for survival. Seals are only incidentally a land or ice animal. They are creatures of the sea, and so the student of the seal must become one too, insofar as he can equip himself to make the difficult and potentially hazardous transition. Here, Carleton Ray and his diving companions abandon the relative safety of the ice surface to investigate the behavior of the seal underwater. The temperature of this water is 28 degrees Fahrenheit in the polar spring. Its clarity permits visual observation over a radius of 300 feet or more. At the freezing point, water is 23 times as conductive of heat as air. Yet these men can survive. The layer of neoprene worn next to their skin contains the heat radiated by their own bodies. Without the suits, they would be stunned into unconsciousness and rapid death. These seals can hold their breath for an hour, and this is their world. To it, they have been superbly adapted from ancient land animals who were ancestors to all the 30 species of seals, sea lions, and walrus we know today. The men find themselves immersed in an eerie cacophony of sound. Most of these sounds are communications of dominance of territory. Here, for the first time, man witnesses the territorial battles between two 10-foot, 1,000-pound bulls near their breathing holes. But do some of these sounds have something to do with the way these seals navigate? Seals may echolocate, but if they do, are they bouncing their sonar-like pings off the ice overhead to find a tiny breathing hole? The undersurface of the ice is a poor sound reflector. A small hole in its enormous mass would seem impossible to find unless in direct line of sight. Some suspect the seals may be locating on the more stable features on the bottom, directly beneath their holes. Some of the work can be done with captive animals in the seal tank at the Johns Hopkins School of Hygiene and Public Health. Arctic spotted seals have extremely sharp eyesight. Dr. Ray has found that they can distinguish between discs less than 1/10 of an inch different in diameter.
It's slow getting on today.
The seal rests at the start point until the window opens and the buzzer stops. He knows from experience that if he can select the larger of two discs, a whistle will blow, and he'll be rewarded with a fish.
Looks like we have to go to a half before we get this animal to make many mistakes.
Good run.
Yeah, good run. That's all right. Well, that's about the end of that series, I think. I guess we can go down to a smaller target size.
This is some of the background and the rich experience that Carleton Ray brings to St. Lawrence Island as he begins his new adventure in the Bering Sea. Gimbel, population about 400. Year of discovery by Europeans, 1728. Date of first settlement, unknown, but certainly before the birth of Christ. For the next month, it will be Gimbel the team refers to when they speak of home. The search for the seals begins. John Burns of Alaska's Department of Fish and Game joins Dr. Ray. May is the month the migrating seals move past St. Lawrence Island, but no one can predict exactly when or where the animals will appear. Eskimos Winnie James and Stephen Aningayu bring their years of experience to the search. The boat passes through a pod of gray whales recently arrived from Baja California to their summer feeding grounds in the lush plankton pastures of the Bering Sea. The men climb floating columns of ice to look for seals. But ultimately, in their search, the scientists must turn to instruments. What their own eyes and ears cannot detect with any degree of certainty, the hydrophone may hear. By eavesdropping on the underwater world, man sometimes can determine the presence of the seals.
Wow. Hey. Muckluck. Real close. Lots of them.
Good for muckluck.
Well, you gotta hear this one. It's really something.
The muckluck is the bearded seal, and these are the territorial songs of the males. At the other end of the world, in the Antarctic, it's possible to approach seals on the open ice. Men are not native to the bottom of the world, and there are no polar bears. Nothing hunts seals on the ice in Antarctica, so the seals react without fear once they leave the water. But here in the Arctic, there are both men and bears. And if the scientist can approach a seal, it's usually because the seal doesn't know the man is there.
I'll tell you, they're funny. When they're really tired after they've been sleeping, they wake up and look at you and they won't move.
The men think they've spotted a seal den and move off for a closer look.
Straight ahead. Let's pass by him.
Little seal.
Yeah, let's pass by him that way.
What is he, Carleton?
It's a ring seal. A ring seal. Nucksuck. One they use for the boots. They have little pups about that long, pure white. Cute, my God, they're cute, big black eyes. Thinks we're a polar bear or something. They look very attentively.
Yeah, he's not taking his eyes off us, is he?
No. He sure is. Paddle over, maybe we can get a little closer. Very wary. They like to stay out in the open like that.
There he goes.
There he goes.
Oh. The splash.
Isn't that something? Little guys, they're so darn cute, you know, they really are.
He is